Alright guys, Jibobby here and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to teach you how to make a comic book page, alright? So the way I usually start, right now I'm drawing page 2 in this time lapse. I did it in the live stream. Follow me on Instagram, links are down below. But anyway, I started with the layout, and the layout are basically the frames. And usually I start out without a ruler and roughing out the basic frame. And then after that, I just had to go one by one and drawing out each frame. And at the same time that I'm drawing out these frames, usually I just like to draw what's inside that frame. And after that, I go to the layout. And the layout is usually, well, the second part of layout, because that is usually where I draw the characters or the buildings or whatever that's inside, super rough. And then I add all of those details right after. And this part is one of the most difficult panels that I had to do because there were so many characters inside, so many details, and it literally took me 1 to 2 hours to make it because there were so many details to just add in. And at the end, I was just so tired. But I wouldn't recommend to just speed it up at the end because you're so tired. Just take a break and do it later. Don't do the same mistake as I did. But usually, that's pretty much how I would actually start. And it's good to plan out your comic book page before actually doing anything else. Here is a picture on how I planned out my comic book page for page 2, which is the one that I'm drawing right now. This is page 2. Page 1, I did it in the live stream just to introduce it, but this is page 2 right here. And you can see how rough the whole thing actually is because it doesn't have to be complicated at all. It's like a storyboard. It is so simple that no one else has to understand it. If you're the only one who actually understands it, that's perfectly fine as well, because it needs to be good enough for you, the artist, to understand how it's meant to look like, how the page is meant to look like, and which characters are meant to be there. And the dialogue doesn't really matter. You gotta start with the script usually for the entire comic. But I didn't want to do a script for this one, even though that's a horrible idea because in reality it's better to start with the script. But for some reason I actually didn't start with the script for this one. Instead, what I decided to do is just start drawing it out and use my imagination. So I started doing a couple warm-ups at the beginning, as you saw there, and I just kept drawing because this is day 2 on me drawing it. That was pretty much just a little quick warm-up that I did. But anyway, let's continue. So a problem that I actually faced is that I had to fit everything in, but since I knew I couldn't fit every single character in that classroom that I was drawing, at the end I just decided to do as many as I can. And a way to actually speed up the process, which you will see later on throughout the video or throughout this time lapse in reality, is that what I decided to do is just after this panel, which was actually more detailed than I thought, for all the other panels I decided to just draw without even worrying on how it looked like, because I knew that I was going to ink this on my iPad after. I was going to ink it digitally. So I didn't actually care exactly that much on how it was actually going to look like. So it was all good. If you mess up in your comic, it's fine, because maybe later on you're going to ink it, you're going to fix it on the computer. So in reality, if you mess up, it's all good, alright? It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Just keep that in mind when you're drawing, that you just need to do that. And also, a tip that I need to tell you that I didn't do for this panel is that always rough it out first. Rough every single character first. And the reason why you want to do that is because it'll be much easier to draw it after. And the reason why is because you know that everything fits and you don't need to worry about everything being completely wrong and everything just looking wrong at the end. You want to rough it out first, which is a mistake that I didn't do in the second page, but I did do in the first page. I will show you a picture of the first page right now when I snap my fingers. Boom, that is the first page on how it looks like. And I'll actually show you how the second page looked like at the end. But the easy thing about this is that I didn't care how it looked, alright? Because, I'll be honest, I didn't care how it looked because I knew exactly how I was going to ink it after. Digital inking, So it didn't really matter how it looked because I was gonna fix everything digitally later. So in reality, it was all good, all right? And that's something that you should really think of. And also, panels might seem pretty difficult, and I actually had some trouble doing it. But just think of it as multiple portraits in one, all right? Multiple frames, you know, like picture frames that you have on your wall. Think of it as many of those, all right? Think of it as like 4 or 5 or maybe even more different shapes, different sizes, you know. Just think of it like that. And also, I'll also make another video on how to draw different kinds of speech bubbles because those are really important and it really shows the emotion of the character depending on how the speech bubble looks like. And that is actually really important to know. And the reason why it's so important is because you really want to try to make it as clear as possible. Every single page has to be clear. And a good way to do this is by looking at different artists' work, all right? Check different comic book artists' work, and with that, just check how their panel works, how they go from one panel to another, how they do storytelling, how you do pacing. And one tip that I want to tell you that is really important is that the art does not matter, okay? It doesn't matter how the art looks like because the important thing is the storytelling, all right? The advice that I would give you is you need to try to make the pages as clean as possible, obviously, but also something that you also want to do is that you really want to try to keep the liner clean. And many people struggle with this, so that's why it is very important to use a ruler, especially for the panels. And many people are like, oh no, using a ruler is cheating because you're not using your own hand, you're just using something to help you. But come on, a ruler is not cheating, right? Every single professional artist uses a ruler, all right? They use so many things that help them, all right? And digital art isn't actually a problem either, and keep that in mind. And another tip is to not compare yourself to different artists, because then you're going to get discouraged, and you don't want to get discouraged, because if you're like, oh, okay, I'm doing this, but not other artists are doing it, so therefore I'm not going to do it. But that doesn't mean that your art won't be your own anymore, because you're trying to copy another artist, but you want to keep it your own. Keep it unique, and that is very important. The most important thing is to keep it unique. And also, I am actually going to start working on my own comic as well, so I'm going to most likely be working on 2 comics at the same time. Probably not, but maybe. But be sure to follow me on Instagram when that happens. But pretty much, that is basically how to actually start out at making comics. Alright, that is basically how you would start. Those are a few tips that I wanted to give you on how you can start your own comic. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to stay until the end of the video so you can see me pretty much finishing this entire drawing, this entire page, which takes about 8 hours, alright? It takes 5 to 8 hours to draw an entire page. So don't get discouraged. And I actually drew this whole page in 3 hours, which is actually really quick. So don't get discouraged when it takes you too long, alright? Because every artist takes a very long time. 1 page a day. Alright, but anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. So, bye!